My 29F brother, Cody, 25M, and I never had our dad in our lives, and our mom passed 3 years ago. We're really all the family we have left. Currently, we live together, splitting rent on a condo. Cody is dating Shannon, 24F. I really like her and we have had no issues until now. Last week, Cody was seriously injured. I'm his emergency contact and was told he was at the hospital. When I arrived, Cody's boss, Martin, was there. Cody and Martin have a great relationship, much better than most bosses and employees, so he was just as worried. And not in a "oh crap, what will this do to the company" but a "I'm really concerned" kind of way. Shannon arrived not long after I got there. Immediately, she began screeching at Martin, asking how he could let this happen, etc. Martin was shocked and said he wasn't even around when it happened. Cody wasn't even at the main offices, he got into an accident on his way to a different site. It was in no way the company's fault. I tried telling Shannon that blaming people wasn't going to help and we needed to focus on Cody. Eventually, we got to see Cody and thankfully, he was okay for the most part. Shannon was continuing to freak out on medical staff and honestly stressing Cody a lot. Even the nurse told me to take a walk with Shannon because she wasn't helping things. I did so and told Shannon I understood this was scary but she needed to take a breath. She apologized and said she was stressed. I totally understood. Cody came back to the condo and has been on bed rest. His work has given him paid leave and is covering all of the bills. On Friday afternoon, I was doing the dishes and suddenly heard screaming coming from Cody's room. I go in there to find Shannon standing by his bed. Cody is on a Zoom call with Martin and a few other higher-ups discussing the accident. Shannon is screaming at them that they better not let anything else happen to him, that they're lucky Cody didn't sue and that they're all assholes. Cody looks embarrassed and keeps telling her to stop. Martin says they'll talk later and ends the call. When I ask what happened, Cody says that he was discussing the company car that was totaled in the accident and when he could expect to get a new one. Shannon interrupted their conversation out of nowhere and flipped out. Cody looked exhausted, so I told Shannon to follow me. I asked her to leave. I said she is putting Cody's job at risk and she can't go around screaming at everyone. She told me she's just stressed. I said, I get it. It was terrifying to get that call and see him like that. But Cody doesn't need everyone screaming, especially at people who have been nothing but nice. She got irritated and said she wasn't going to go unless Cody asked her. I said it was my condo too and I didn't want her there. So, she left. Cody isn't mad at me, but he also says he wouldn't have cared if she stayed. Shannon, however, is pissed at me and feels I was diminishing her feelings. Comment 1. Everybody deals with stress differently. Some of us scream when we really shouldn't, but being stressed doesn't mean it's okay to insert yourself into the situation and risk making it worse because you don't want to control yourself or observe quietly from the sidelines. She's hurting him, not helping him. You aren't diminishing her feelings. You simply aren't letting her run roughshod over him and the company while they try to figure out what to do next. NTA. Comment 2. Her feelings are acceptable. Her behavior is not. Grown adults are expected to be able to monitor and adjust their actions accordingly. Shannon went off the rails, jeopardizing Cody's job, interfering with his medical treatment. The nurses wouldn't have asked you to get her out of there if she wasn't making it hard to look after their patient, stressing him out royally, and generally making the whole thing about her. NTA. Comment 3. She's not just stressed. You just found out how she reacts to situations. She apparently is a screamer and feels like that's what she needs to do to manipulate people to get things her way. Screaming and threatening. You are completely right to kick her out of the house. If your brother has half a brain, he'll kick her out of his life before she loses him his job and relationships with other people, because people are not going to tolerate this behavior. I, 26F, and my husband, 26M, and our 2 children, 1 and 3, frequently go out to my husband's grandparents' property. Has a pond on about 40 acres of woods. Everyone is welcome to come use their property. They have sizable gazebo with all kinds of stuff for use by anyone, such as the infamous plastic lawn chairs to sit around the fire. A couple weekends ago, my 1-year got too close to the pond and tripped into the pond. I was a few feet away sitting in one of the chairs, unaware my husband had stepped off to throw something away and no longer was watching our 1-year. He's been very apologetic about that and still beating himself up for not telling me I needed to watch both kids and not just our 3-year, who I was gently pushing on a porch swing while talking to our friend, 26M, who was also there. I saw my 1-year just as they got too close to the pond, and as I yelled "Child pond," I also got up and the chair flew to the ground as I took off, shoving my friend out of my way, as my 1-year fell in. He's okay, in the water for less than 5 seconds. I was again, maybe 6 feet away from him. Well, the chair broke up by the left shoulder. Before we leave, we always stop by if grandparents are home to chat for a bit. The first thing we did was explain the chair broke and how. Grandma said that's all right, just glad our child was okay and thank you for telling her. We stopped at the store before we got home and bought a replacement chair. I know I'm probably being petty, but the line needs to be drawn, and this wouldn't be the first time my husband has been treated like an outsider in his own family. We came out again this weekend. I did not bring the chair because frankly, I just forgot it. When we got there, we noted the chair had been fixed with some Gorilla Tape. Immediately his grandmother comes to the pond to tell us we need to replace the chair we broke. Very sternly and very upset with us about it. My husband sternly told her he understood, and she left before I had any chance to say anything. At first I personally thought no big deal, we should have offered to replace it when we told her it got broken. So I asked why he was so upset and why he didn't tell her we already have a replacement, we just forgot it. He said many people over the years have broken chairs. They've never once asked or have been offered by the responsible party to replace it. Matter of fact, they always throw the broken chair away right away and always tell people, like they told us initially, don't worry about it. Her attitude and the fact this is commonplace for my husband to be expected to act differently from the rest of his family has me thinking we should instead return the chair and just start bringing our own out there from now on. Comment 1, ESH. Grandma for being weirdly hostile about a plastic lawn chair and treating certain people differently. You for wanting to be petty and return a chair that you already bought. And everyone involved who was not closely watching a 1-year/0 near a body of water. I do get that is not the point of the post. You and your husband both realize what went wrong and how bad it could have been, etc. But that is such a scary situation that never should have happened, and could have been so much worse. Glad kid is okay. Comment 2. You already have the replacement and were planning to replace it, as would be normal and correct when you break something. They were not at fault for it breaking or for your child falling in the pond. You don't know everything in their financials. It may well be that they're tighter than they used to be and can't replace it without bother in the same way they used to be. If you aren't comfortable with how the family is and how they treat you and your husband, that is separate and something you should consider going forward. Comment 3. You broke it, you replace it. However the owner of said chairs treated those in the past who broke them is none of your concern. Sure, it stings a little if there is a perception of unequal treatment. You still have to replace the chair. When I, 16F, was 10, I lost my dad. My parents were in a transitional period, as my mom's parents called it, in the weeks prior to his death. What I think that means is they were trying to figure out how to divorce without fucking me up. But I thought it was pretty clear my parents' relationship was done. They hadn't seemed happy in so long, and I don't remember them being affectionate with each other. Within a year of my dad dying, my mom met Harvey and they were dating for 2 years when she introduced me and him. He seemed okay. I wasn't like OMG so excited to have my mom dating someone. But it was fine. Mom asked me what I thought and I told her he seemed okay and she was really happy, which was nice. She asked me if I thought he'd make a good bonus dad and I told her I hated how that sounded. We talked and she admitted she wanted to pick someone I could see being the new father figure in my life. She said it didn't have to be an only dad thing, but even if I loved someone enough to think of them as a second dad. I told her that wouldn't happen, but I'd be fine with Harvey sticking around and being married to her if she wanted that. We went to therapy and Harvey eventually joined us, and by the time we were done I was almost 15 and they were married and Mom was pregnant. My mom had 2 kids in the last 18 months. My half-brother is 17 months old and my half-sister is 3 months old. Things were kind of crazy when my half-brother was born, so Mom didn't do any kind of party or celebration of his birth. Since she and Harvey made sure they won't have more kids, Mom decided to throw a party to celebrate the kids being born. So this is where I should say that I'm pretty indifferent to the babies. I know they're technically my half-siblings, but I don't really feel anything toward them. Honestly, it makes me sad that I was the only kid my parents had together, because I think it would have been nice to have someone who's been there with me through my parents' relationship breaking down, Dad dying and Mom remarrying and starting a family with Harvey. But I just don't see my half-siblings the way I imagine seeing a full sibling, because we only share one parent, because I'm so much older and because our experiences will always be so different. I don't hate them, but I can't honestly say I love them. During the party for the babies I got kind of tired of faking being happy and enthusiastic about it, so I went upstairs for a while and was talking to my best friend. Apparently my mom overheard and she talked to Harvey afterward and was devastated because she has realized I don't feel all warm and fuzzy about the babies and I'm not really happy to have half-siblings. She realized I do see them as half, and that hurt her a lot because she assumed I would see them as simply siblings. Harvey told me what Mom found out and he told me to lie my off so Mom will think she misunderstood and will go back to being happy. When I said no, he told me I'm being so selfish. Comment 1. NTA. I, personally, think that given the whole situation, you are entitled to your feelings. Plus, you being so much older than your half-siblings makes it difficult to have a good connection with them, being from a different generation at this point. You, also, have all these years been nice and cordial to them. You did not treat them badly or bully them. You were just slightly indifferent. Will counseling help your mother overcome and understand this? Maybe. Was Harvey wrong to ask you to lie about your feelings? Absolutely. In a current world where people tend to build their lives in lies, it is refreshing to see a young person, as yourself, hold to their truth. Don't ever change that. Comment 2. Yeah, that's what's getting me, is being asked to lie. That will just build resentment towards husband, mom, and new siblings. This needs to be discussed and the mom needs to realize that she cannot force the relationship. OP is gonna probably be gone and off to college, and what would actually hurt the 2 youngest would be if their parents build up this false narrative about their relationship with OP in their heads, only to be met with a very different reality. OP, NTA. You can tell your mom that you're happy for her and that she's finding new happiness, and that as long as she still loves you and shows it, you'll still be happy yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I am 38F, married to my husband 42M. Back when I was 16 I gave birth to my daughter, Mary, dad deadbeat, but we're fine now anyways. I started business in my early 20s and now am considerably wealthy. My husband has a daughter, Jane, who's only 1 year older than Mary. We got married 2 years ago and one of our main aims with this marriage was to have a nicer company, as we both had almost the same experience with love/sex/birth as his ex left him with Jane, just like my ex left me with Mary. However, I'm objectively wealthier than my husband. He's not poor, I just make more money, and finances never been a main topic to us both, thankfully. Now Mary works in a certain institution and makes her own money and pays her own bills. But I also like to spoil her with money and luxury, and we travel a lot together. Sometimes I give her money to travel alone. Like, she's fine on her own financially, but I give her always. Also, Mary has a boyfriend, he's somewhat well off and always pays for their dates, so Mary wanted to surprise him on his birthday, but her plans were kind of above budget, so I paid the rest. Everything was fine until Jane called me saying she wants me to give her $2,000 for her and her friends to travel for a little vacation. I told her 2K for a vacation is a lot, I can help her with sewn, but she then brought up everything I get and pay for Mary and never her. I told her because Mary has no one but me, as my husband doesn't contribute anything to Mary, so obviously I'll direct my efforts to her, and she also works, she doesn't just depend on me. Let's just say that phone call wasn't the nicest. I know the whole perception of if you marry someone with kids then they're your kids too. Sure, Jane is not a kid, she was 21 when I got married to her father. So that's why it was never logical for me to become her mother, just like she never tried to become my daughter, just like my husband never tried to be Mary's father. This family started with all adults and I never try to separate Jane and her father nor get between them. Not that I have a problem with giving Jane money in general, it was her entitlement in demanding the money. Comment 1, NTA. Jane is too old to behave this way. She must have never heard the expression "don't count someone else's money." It was very bad judgment for her to have asked for money. That was compounded when she doubled down to explain why you were in the wrong for not giving it. You didn't owe her any justification for your financial decisions, no matter who benefits. You teach people how to treat you. Next time, reply with a firm no, then end the discussion. Explaining your thinking only gives her ammo to counter and encroach upon your resolve. Let this be a teachable moment for you. She has given you powerful insight into her attitude toward you, don't waste it. Comment 2. NTA. She needs to go to her father, not you. Being married for only 2 years, you didn't help raise her, weren't given a motherly role, so why does she expect you to give her money the same way you do with the daughter you did raise?